More than 100 days into the war between Israel and the Hamas in Gaza, the toll on innocent lives continues to rise. Entire neighborhoods lie in ruins, and a humanitarian crisis looms, casting a shadow over the entire region. The United Nations paints a grim picture of the situation in Gaza Strip, with a quarter of the population struggling to access food and drinking water. The threat of famine is imminent. Vulnerable population are particularly at risk. Pregnant women face inadequate nutrition and healthcare. While worsening conflict, malnutrition and disease create a deadly cycle that threatens over 1.1 million children, according to UNICEF. While Western leaders condemn the Hamas attacks of 7 October and reaffirm Israel's right to self-defense, they also called on Israel to prioritize the protection of civilians within the Gaza Strip. Within the European Union, this difficult balancing act has been the source of many divisions and disagreements between political groups and member states. This has even been reflected within the European institutions themselves. Against the backdrop of escalating civilian casualties, the European Parliament held a debate on January 16th on the humanitarian situation in Gaza and the risk of regional escalation. The debate exposed once again how deeply divided members of the European Parliament remain over the Israel-Hamas war. The debate showcased the complexity of the EU's position, with some members highlighting security concerns and others prioritizing humanitarian ones. Right-leaning political groups such as the EPP and the ECR placed more emphasis on the responsibility of Hamas, calling for the release of Israeli hostages, while the left-wing MEPs from the S&D, Greens, EFA and the left focused their interventions on the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza and criticism of Israel's offensive. Commissioner Yanis Lenarčič, on behalf of EU's chief diplomat Josep Borrell, delivered a speech during the debate. While condemning the horrific terrorist attacks by Hamas in Israel, he also reiterated the urgent need for a new humanitarian pause.
The number of civilian casualties in Gaza, including a very high proportion of children, is unacceptable. The protection of civilians is of utmost importance, and Israel must do more to exercise maximum restraint. Respect for international humanitarian law is imperative and non-negotiable. This is a message that we consistently pass to Israel, and Hamas must release all hostages without preconditions.
A resolution on the humanitarian situation in Gaza was adopted on the 18th of January by 312 votes in favor and 131 against, in which the European Parliament, for the first time since the start of the conflict, called for a permanent ceasefire. This call is conditional on the immediate release of all Israeli hostages and the dismantling of Hamas.